system. We were talking about the Afghanistan shooting. We're going to go to MX on line 3. He's been waiting for a while. Hey, buddy, how are you?
Pretty good, Nick. How are you doing?
I'm good. It was a beautiful weekend, and I like I said, I don't know if I think we're still going to get a snow, but I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't feel it in my bones, but I want to say something about the war.
Yes.
This whole thing is a big Republican mistake made by George Bush and company. George Bush, of course, 9/11, 2001, September 11th, they invaded our country. George Bush and his Republicans go off into a tangent and go into Iraq. There was no weapons of mass destruction. So now you've got two wars. The first one.
Well, we were actually, I mean, Afghanistan was first, and
right.
and we were really winning that war.
Yeah.
And we had Bin Laden in our sights at that point.
But then,
they let him go away, and then they started the war in Iraq, which drew a bunch of troops.
Yes.
Over to Iraq.
I remember it clearly. I had 28 years in the mill, and Colin Powell showed these pictures from his satellite, Republican satellite, that they were moving.
I like that you call it a Republican satellite.
Yeah, you know. They showed these missiles going back and forth, Colin Powell, into these tin buildings. And all Saddam Hussein, there was no weapons of mass destruction.
Right. Well, we all know that.
You know, I blame the Republicans for all this. And, you know...
I'm shocked that they didn't even create fake ones. You know, you think they would have covered their tracks somehow.
Well, Saddam Hussein just pulled a bluff.
Yeah.
Now we're over there, and Saddam Hussein, you know, the way he kept peace was wrong, but he handled it.
Well, what do you think about, let's go back to the Afghanistan shooting. Do you think these guys have been deployed too many times? Are we going to see more of this kind of thing happening?
Okay, 1974, when I got out of high school.
Right.
They stopped the draft, another Republican, Richard Nixon. Now, all the good kids, okay, you got to graduate from high school, got to go to the war. They ain't going to take dummies. But all the gangbangers and everybody else gets out of it. Just another Republican disaster, if you know what I'm saying. There should have never been stop the draft. See, for every action, there is a reaction.
Well, I'll tell you what, America is one of the few countries out there that doesn't have mandatory military service.
Right.
Most of the guys I met out when I was there, it's just something you do for your country. And I honestly believe that should be a policy, because I think if everyone had to go, and everyone, the senators' kids and all the Republicans' kids, or not Republican, but the politicians' kids had to go too, I think there'd be a lot less jumping on the bandwagon of let's go to war right away.
Dumb or not, you can hold a gun. Let me tell you about Ronald Reagan. Everybody hangs their hat on Ronald Reagan. You know what? He gave arms to Osama bin Laden to fight the Russians, and the Afghanistan, they beat the Russians into the ground. We move in there under Colin Powell, the Republican administration, and we try fighting them in the mountains again, and the Russians just got beat up.
Right.
I mean, here's three Republicans, Nixon, Reagan, and George Bush.
Well, you go back all the way to history. No one's ever been able to hold Afghanistan. No one.
Right, yeah. You know what?
Alexander the Great, it goes Genghis Khan, all of them were eventually defeated.
Watch that Genghis Khan. But anyway, let me tell you how I always look at things. I look at history. I look at the great generals, George Patton, Omar Bradley, MacArthur, Eisenhower. What did they do? And that's what I'm sure if they would have handled it, 9/11, these people wouldn't be going off. You know, and I feel bad for somebody that's got to go 3 times.
Oh, yeah, it's ridiculous. Listen, we got to take a break. I'm getting the signal, but call back. This is a great topic to talk about, because it's not going to go away.
And you know what, Nick? I don't have a computer. This is off the top of my head.
Well, that's impressive. I don't know if your figures or anything are correct, but...
I'm correct.
You sound convinced of what you're saying, and it's always interesting to talk to you.
Oliver North, Iran-Contra hearings.
Talking about the Afghanistan
one.
shooting, how many times or too many times to be deployed? Bob's been waiting a long time on line 1. Bob, I'm sorry about that. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. Just some random observations.
Thanks for waiting. Let me tell you first. I appreciate that.
Oh, no problem. Again, just some random observations.
Sure.
The surge in Afghanistan was Barack Obama's idea. He actually kind of upped the ante there.
Right.
So, I mean, let's not say this is all Republican. When it came back to the first thing with Colin Powell, it wasn't just the Colin Powell and the evil Republicans saying he had weapons of mass destruction. It was the British, it was the French, it was just about everybody. And Saddam Hussein presented himself as having weapons of mass destruction. He put it out there. He wanted people to think that he was a badass on the top.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
when he was swinging from the end of the rope, I'm sure he was rethinking that whole strategy, that putting things out there that weren't necessarily,
You wanted to call a board meeting at the time and then re-strategize, huh?
Yes, and the idea that, well, I'll go back, from my father's time in Korea, probably even before that, to some extent, World War II. As soon as you get politicians involved in running a war, you got a problem.
Well, they always run their war, though. Isn't that the bottom line, really?
Well, yeah, but, when you say take that hill, take that hill. It's not take that hill and feed the children on the way up and don't break any tree branches and be nice to everybody. The United States military exists for two reasons: to blow things up and kill people.
Well, you're right about that. I did a show when I was there for Special Forces, some Special Forces guys, and the first thing the guy told me, their leader, was we put more people in body bags than anyone else. And that, that's the truth is that, you try to have rules in war, and it's kind of an insane thing. I mean, you have the Geneva Convention stuff, but,
if you're going to win a war, you win the war. You don't let Barack Obama and you don't let George W. Yeah, you let them set, they're there to I don't know, to guide the general.
Well, they're big. Everybody's saying is, win the hearts and minds of the people, and
well, if you're trying to kill them, I'm really not worried about winning their hearts and minds. If they're there to kill you and I'm there to kill them, let's see who kills who, and we're not going to worry about changing any hearts and minds.
Well, I guess that's the problem. It's a war, and much like Vietnam, I guess, where your enemy doesn't even wear a uniform. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I think there's a...
When they flew the planes into the buildings, they weren't wearing uniforms.
Right.
They weren't Iraqis, and they weren't Afghanistan.
No, they weren't.
They were, a lot of them were Saudis.
I think the majority were Saudis.
So this whole idea that it just irritates me. I am a conservative, and it just does irritate me when, as if the Republicans enjoy dirty water, polluting the air, and seeing young children, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids die. It's just,
I agree with you. I mean, there's a happy medium to everything. I think a lot of people look at, and in fact, I was amazed too. The amount of money that is made on a war is astronomical. When I was there, just to see how money was spent, and so someone's profiting off these wars. You can't deny that.
Oh, without a doubt, sure there are. There definitely are people profiting, but it grinds my gears when I hear people make a comment that, those Republicans are as if a Republican or a Democrat or a Libertarian enjoys the fact that some 20-year-old kid is going to die.